right. Thank you, and welcome back to Lab 52, a Dynasty Football podcast on this July 25th edition of the show. I'm one of your hosts, the Tecmo Weave, joined by my co-host, Weapon X. Weapon X, this week, I had a couple of things that made me happy. A friend of mine introduced me to this app called Pluto TV. It's like free TV, and it's just over the internet, and it's very similar to the Samsung TV I've used before. And today I got to watch the Family Ties channel, and I was pleased with that. What are some things that make you happy? And I know you're more of a Family Matters kind of guy.
Oh yeah, Family Matters, no question. What makes me happy, man, is I was talking to you earlier. I was outside all day today painting, man. It's the act of painting doesn't make me happy, but finishing at the end and looking at it and say, all right, all that work, it's finally done. That makes me happy knowing that I'm done. And yeah, it was a hot day today, but hey, you got to take advantage of every nice day you can, especially when it comes to outdoor work. So yeah, it makes me happy to know I got that done.
Oh, absolutely. And, admiring your work and saying, now, if I paid someone to do that, how much money did you save?
Exactly.
That there's some satisfaction in that. And before I mentioned Family Ties and of course Family Matters, there's a player that got involved in a transaction this week, and I thought his life is kind of like a sitcom. And we'll see if you can guess. This is one of my riddles here, and I know they're notoriously difficult. But it's called Just When You Think It Couldn't Get Any Worse, It Did. Whose situation was bad this week, but got worse? It's an offensive player who was involved in a trade. That really narrows it down.
Man, yeah, I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking of players that are out there, so it's a trade. So it's not a player. It's a player that was traded.
Player that was
Man.
traded in real life. It was a recent trade. His situation wasn't very good in Chicago. And
Okay, yes, that gave it away. Yep, that was Anthony Miller. Got traded. He
yes,
got traded to the Houston Texans. I did see that, and that's an interesting one. It really is. I think, obviously, Deshaun Watson. We'll talk about him later. But yeah, I don't foresee him being in Houston. So I don't. It's tough. Anthony Miller is basically going from a tough situation with Andy Dalton, but with Justin Fields taking over, there was some potential there. But it just seems like the team soured on Anthony Miller. But hey, he gets a fresh start somewhere else. He's gonna have a good chance to have a pretty solid role there. All they have is Brandon Cook. So I think, he gets to go into a situation where he should play, and he should play early and often. So yeah, Anthony Miller, that is a good one. I did see that one earlier today.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think the situation got a lot worse for Anthony Miller. He did. I mean, you're going from maybe Justin Fields at one point to, all right, you got Tyrod Taylor. That's it on a team that is going to be interested in tanking this year and then drafting, their next quarterback. We assume that's how it would play out, but I think the situation got worse. So I guess this is a thumbs up, or this is an arrow pointing up then for Darnell Mooney. I wrote here, time to shine. So I'm still not sure at this point if the wide receiver 2 position in Chicago has a lot of fruit to bear when it comes to fantasy. But yeah. Speaking of Deshaun Watson, this news is fairly recent. It just seemed to kind of pop up in the news tracking feeds that I use. That Mike Garofalo of NFL Network said the NFL does not intend to step in and suspend or place him on the exempt list for unresolved civil cases. There's no criminal charges. Of course, I'm talking about Deshaun Watson. It says he's going to be showing up to camp. He doesn't want to get fined. He's paying a large legal bill. He doesn't want to be fined. So people see him. He's walking through that door. They said, "Oh, he came through." It's Richard Sherman again. We had a sound, but he came through the door. There he is. He's at training camp. I don't know. It makes me excited. I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but maybe I think there's still more story to be told.
Yeah, I mean that's big. I didn't hear that. You told me that. You sent me a message earlier. I was out. Obviously, I was outside, didn't get a chance to see much news today. But yeah, that's interesting. You know, he's reporting to camp. That's always a positive, and it seems like the situation's starting to take place now. Things are starting to come into form. I mean, nothing's guaranteed yet in his situation, but we've talked about him a lot this offseason. If he plays, there's no reason to doubt him as a top five, top six quarterback in any format, dynasty, redraft. He's a guy that you want on your team because he's just a productive player every year. One of the mobile quarterbacks, and when you have a mobile quarterback like him and a guy who's just one of the best passers in the league as well, so it's exciting the fact that he has a chance to get out there in training camp. But there's still stuff that has to get resolved. But based on what we were talked about before, it's looking a lot more positive than it was a couple months ago.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is it's at least movement in one direction. And this was what the kind of the game of chicken it seemed both sides were playing. Well, are they going to do something to you? Are they going to do something? Because it certainly hasn't been criminal charges that have been filed.
Yeah.
But it does and then it rings the bell of trades again, right? Okay, well, if he's not going to be in Houston, or could he be? I don't know, but if he's not, then it goes back to, okay, he's going to the Eagles. He's going to Miami. They're going to swap Tua, something like that. I don't know. Today was at least the last couple of days have been a lot of exciting news. But yeah, I saw one article just saying by doing nothing that gave Watson positive press.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. And I just want to say something real quick. I saw there's a very well-known reporter here in the Philadelphia area. He's been one of the top reporters for a long time, Howard Eskin. That's his name. And he came out with a tweet a couple days ago saying he believes there's a 90% chance that he will be traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. And when a guy like Howard Eskin is saying that, you definitely have to take note with that because he's very well respected in this area. He's been doing it for a long time. I don't take reports from him as you see reports all around in these unknown sites. You're not really going to pay attention. But when a guy like this is saying it, he's been doing it for a long time. It's something to really look at and something to take seriously. But yeah, anything could happen. But 90% when he's saying that, I was like, all right, this could be something happening pretty soon.
So, it makes me think of at least the trade I did. I don't really feel very good about it now. I guess I was just trying to make stuff happen in the off season. If Deshaun Watson plays, did I win the trade of trading away Pat Mahomes for Deshaun Watson and Chris Godwin this off season?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it comes down to Chris Godwin, how he's going to play. Pat Mahomes, I don't think anyone's going to debate. Mahomes is the guy going into the year that you believe will have the better season. But how much better of a year will he have than Watson? How much better will that be? If Chris Godwin goes out there and produces solid wide receiver 2 production, maybe he's already shown already he could be a wide receiver 1. The situation isn't as fruitful for him because there's a lot more around him. And Jameis Winston, you know how he plays. He's going to air it out to his guy all day long. But you got Tom Brady as your quarterback, and I know there's 3 receivers there in Tampa that they're gonna receive attention all game long from Brady. But Godwin has shown already potential to be a wide receiver 1, and there's no reason why he can't be close to that. A strong wide receiver 2 is something I can see him being, and if he is that, and Watson's playing the way he normally does, I don't think you should be having a hard time feeling with that trade. I think that trade, when you did it, you saw the upside with Watson just playing, and then you got Godwin on top of it. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad trade if Watson's out there.
Yeah. I guess I was just looking at some of Watson's stats over the years, and it was really just last year that he blew up as a major fantasy force. I mean, we saw what he can do from game to game, but I guess the consistency might not have been there in terms of elite fantasy production. But if he goes to another team, you have to assume they're going to build around him because he's shown he can play at that elite level. Here's, I had a couple of trades I want to throw out at you from, I guess one is a bit of trade advice for me. And then the other one is a trade that happened in a league where at the start of the offseason, I said, I'm done with this league. That's the one where I did the Deshaun Watson trade. I said, I kind of don't want to be part of this league anymore. And they don't make you pay ahead. So I'm kind of planning on being done with it. And a trade happened in that league this week where I was like, yeah, this is exactly why I don't want to be in this league. But before we get to that, I'm going to ask you your opinion here on a keep seven. It's the keep seven league I'm in. It's keep seven guys. I have both Joe Burrow and Ryan Tannehill, and my team is in a definite win now position. I have Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Miles Sanders, Calvin Ridley. I have a very, very good team when you're only keeping seven guys. So between Tannehill and Burrow, who do you keep this year and why? But knowing it's a keep seven, there is a dynasty factor.
Man, so you have both those guys. You're deciding between those two. I heard some positive news from Joe Burrow earlier, and they're saying he's out. He's going to be ready to play training camp. No restrictions. He's going to be ready to roll. And anytime you hear anything positive with him, it's gonna boost his stock and it's gonna excite you. So it's gonna be tough. I know. Tannehill adding Julio Jones, that's a game changing addition for him as well. Man, I like those options. They're both legit QB1 type options. Tannehill, I would say, is a little bit ahead of him in the rankings. But in a keep seven,
Yeah.
man, yeah, in a keep seven, it's tough, and it's really, really tough. I think if it were me, I would have a hard time letting go of either one. But I think I would go with Joe Burrow mainly because I like to keep the fact that you're keeping someone, and it's I'm assuming how many years is this long term here?
Yeah, you can keep him for as many years as you want. There's no contracts involved. It's just keep seven every year.
Okay, so with that in mind, since it's keep seven long term, if this was just this year, 2021, I would probably say Tannehill has the slight edge. But in a keep seven long term, I'm going to go with Joe Burrow because he's one of the best QB prospects to come into this league, man. And his receiver core, it couldn't get any better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it could not get much better. And you're not going to have an issue with volume in the Cincinnati Bengals offense. He's going to be throwing the ball a ton. And yeah, I think just the keeper factor, that gives the edge to Joe Burrow.
All right. Well, I can respect that. We'll have to see how it plays out, and it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And before we go to our break, I'll throw out the trade that makes me want to leave that league. I mean, it almost seems like it's something going on behind the scenes. But I don't know. It's just a full point PPR league, not non-super flex. You have two running backs, two wide receivers, and two flexes. So one less flex than your league, Weapon X.
Okay.
Do you think this sounds legit in maybe in redraft? I guess it might be, but certainly not in a dynasty league. David Montgomery and Corey Davis for Justin Jefferson. Oh yeah, that's a legit trade.
Oh man, this is dynasty. You said, right?
This is a dynasty league.
Oh man,
and this trade just went down yesterday.
Oh boy,
David Montgomery and Corey Davis for Justin Jefferson, and we're just all supposed to sit back and go, "Oh well, yeah, it's how they evaluate guys. It's all different." No, I knew I was done with this league, and this trade doesn't do anything to change my mind.
That's when you see stuff like that, you can't even find a reason why it makes sense. I know there's certain things you could say, hey, you know what, this guy has a lot of potential, and you never know. But Corey Davis, he is not going to bridge the gap between David Montgomery and Justin Jefferson, and not even close. And we're talking about Justin Jefferson. He's been discussed as possibly the wide receiver one in Dynasty. And he may be one of the most valuable assets to have based on his age and his production already in the rookie year. You don't just trade a guy like that who's at the peak value right now and has a chance to even get higher in his value after another year like that. That's just a bogus trade. Honestly, redraft, Dynasty, keep 1, keep 50. That's the bad trade. It's just a bad trade, man. And I don't know. Seeing stuff like that, I've seen that happen in leagues I've been in. And you just look at it and you just go, man, like what's the reason for this? And it just kind of takes a lot of the fun out of the league when things like that happen, because it's just not a smart trade and it doesn't make sense. I can't even justify it at all.
I'm glad you're as disgusted with it as I was. But hey, why don't we cut to the ad? August is coming up, and one of my favorite times of the year is National Draft Day. And what were we saying? In August, we could have a National Download Anchor Day. But before we get to that, we'll close out with the final July ad. We'll come back and we'll talk about the big three. These were the big three topics that most people were probably talking about or looking at this week: Aaron Rodgers, Cam Akers, and Michael Thomas. But yeah, why don't we cut to the ad? We'll come back and we'll cover those three. Okay, welcome back to Lab 52, a Dynasty Football podcast. This July 25th edition. We're part 2 of the show. Weapon X, do you want to talk about a player I'm growing to despise? Or do you want to talk about a player I'm hoping to sort of acquire?
Let's start with news first. Someone you were looking to acquire. I think I'm trying to hold off this negative stuff as long as possible.
All right, well, we'll stay on the positive side of things. Cam Akers. I mean, I guess it's not really positive. I had an Achilles injury this week. Man, he was a second-round startup guy. Now he might have people thinking he's a what if, what could have been. I saw a short list of players. None of them were in the elite status of Cam Akers, or at least as far as draft capital goes. But I guess an Achilles, when it comes to the running back position, is hard to recover from. Do you know more on that front? Also, you're a Cam Akers owner. Let's hear it from ground zero. What's it like?
I thought we were getting some positive news here. Yeah, I guess I should have picked the other one, man. It's depressing, man. It's when I saw that breaking news pop on my phone, I first thought about Cam Akers, the player. I thought about him, the person. It's just, thinking about a guy that's working so hard, it's his second year in the league, so much potential. It's just tough to see that happen to any player. And it's a shame. And I'm hopefully he can recover and get sort of what he was before. But like you said, with running backs and Achilles injuries, the sample size has already been large enough to see that it's been a really, really tough injury to come back for. I know the modern medicine has gotten a lot better, but it's just a tough injury to return from as a running back. A running back position requires a lot of explosion right off the bat, and there hasn't been very much positive production from these guys coming back from these types of injuries. So it's tough. And with Cam Akers now, as an owner, having him in Dynasty, I still believe when you look at him, and he was actually right now, I'm looking at the July ADP, he was at RB7, number 8 overall. So, rising the ladder there, and rightfully so, and the offense it should still be a very good offense, but having him in that offense is exciting. It would have been fun to watch, and they were talking about using him a lot more in the passing game, which was probably had a lot to do with the rising ADP as you see right now. But losing Cam Akers for the year is very tough. As an owner, having him, I still believe you have to. The best thing right now as a Cam Akers owner is just to hold, because you're not going to get an offer that you believe is fair enough for him. I still think if you get a first round for Cam Akers, you should definitely consider that, because, as I said, with running backs coming back from these injuries, there's no guarantee. So if you're able to get a first rounder going into next year, I believe I'd rather have a first round pick that's not coming off an Achilles injury other than Cam. But when I look at it, I know you're not going to have an easy time receiving a first round pick for Cam Akers, because the guy trading for him is taking on the risk as well. So right now his value is about as low as it's ever going to get. Unless he just never plays again. But with Cam Akers, as we get closer to next year, if his recovery is going well and there's positive reports, that value will start to creep up a little more. So if you trade him right now for anything like outside of a second rounder, you're going to be really regretting it come next year, because I still believe there's going to be a role for him next year. What kind of role will he have? We'll see what happens with Darrell Henderson this year. He's a fun player. But I don't think they want him to be the main guy, and they showed that already by drafting Cam Akers when they already had Henderson on the roster. So it's you can hear it in the tone of my voice. It's just tough. It's just tough. It's tough because you got a guy. It's exciting, man, and he's like a cornerstone type player on your team. Yeah. And to lose him at this point in the year before even training camp happens, it's tough. It's tough, but I'm hoping for the best. And if you're an owner of Cam Akers, just try to get the best value you can. Don't sell him for whatever, because he still is a solid young player.
Yeah, I mean, I asked on a forum I like to visit. I said, hey, I was going to offer what was going to be I'm imagining to be a late, I described it as a late first, a bottom 4 pick, the 1-9 to the 1-12. I said, is that too much for Cam Akers? And I had responses from a few individuals, and they said yes. Hold on to the first. That's too much to give. That's too much risk. Um, and so I guess, like I can understand that, but he's also a young guy. He's not in the, 25, 26. He's going to be 23 next year. If anyone's going to kind of recover for this, it's going to be a younger person that has something to prove. He'll only be in year 3 of his deal next year. Maybe it's the following year that he fully recovers from it. I would say a high second or, cumulative high second round value. That would be a fair offer at this point. Maybe someone like Amon-Ra St. Brown. If he's going mid-second in your draft, I don't know. Maybe he's not. But I've seen him going, mid-second. Maybe give Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I don't know. Kevin Durant did it. And, I mean, you can make the case that basketball players are far better athletes than football players, but it does take a different type of skill set. And we'll just have to wait and see. But no, I mean, I feel like it's a risk worth taking for somebody that was ranked as highly as Cam Akers and has as much future in front of him as Cam Akers does. But to expect him to kind of buck the trend of dynasty pass, that may be asking too much. I don't know.
Yeah, and another interesting thing. This is kind of unrelated, but it can help people feel a little better about the Cam Akers situation. Marlon Mack has come back from the same injury. If we see him play, obviously he's not the main back in Indianapolis, but if he plays well, if he looks close to his normal self, and people see that, that may make you feel a little bit better. I know they're not the same player, they're not the same person, but we have to see a little bit of a sample size of these players coming back looking like the normal selves. Because right now we haven't seen that. But if we see a couple players do that, it may make the owner feel a little better about it. It may make the people that are trading for him, feel a little bit better. It's just really hard when you don't have a sample size of players coming back from these injuries and looking like the normal self.
Absolutely. On the Cam Akers front here, okay, so Darrell Henderson, he moves into the number 1 spot, and everybody's looking right here. Everybody is the next J-Rob. Every undrafted guy, this is the next James Robinson. This is the next James Robinson. This week in a couple of leagues, Xavier Jones, people are saying he's the next James Robinson. I was fortunate enough to pick him up. I picked up, what's his name, Jake Funk. Do you think Darrell Henderson has a handle on that job? I mean, I guess we'll see. It'll be his to lose. Is that seems about accurate at this point?
Yeah, I think it's for sure. You said it perfectly. It's his to lose. But like I said earlier, I don't think the Rams really want to use him as a full workhorse back, and they've shown that already before. He has injury problems himself. So if you could pick up any of the other pieces in that running game and see what happens, because it's going to be a fun offense. So if you could pick up a guy like Xavier Jones or Funk and see what happens, you never know. One of those two could emerge and have a good solid role. So I think that's a smart job by you to get guys like that, the other pieces that won't be as much to pay for at this moment.
Yeah, it's fortunate in one league where I'm in a major rebuild. When you're in a major rebuild, you don't have a lot of good players, so you can you can take all these lottery tickets, buy all these penny stocks and hope maybe one or two of them hits, or maybe there's a starter for 3 or 4 weeks and someone's going to pay you a second for them. That's a fun type of asset to have, especially when you're not trying to prove yourself and win the championship. I don't have that burden this year in that league.
Yep.
But somebody who's trying to maybe offload some of their burdens, he's in love. He's in love and he said, I don't want to play football anymore. I'm too good for all this. I've been abused. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. The world abuses me. They don't love me like Shailene Woodley does. You know what I'm talking about. Aaron Rodgers. I've stood by this guy over the years. I've asked people, what do you mean when he's arrogant? What do you mean? What do he say? What do he do? Well, now I'm starting to understand. Tell me you saw the piece about him and Devontae Adams, and they're posting the Last Dance picture. And what did I write here? No way. Absolutely no way. No way at all. What does that mean? Michael Jordan, oh, Aaron Rodgers, you're the greatest of all time. Give me a break. Give me a break. And they won 6 championships. Aaron Rodgers, you won 1 championship, and it was not with Davante Adams. So, like, this comparison doesn't really fit. I don't like it. I don't like what's going on. I'm dropping the stock of Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, pretty much everyone with the offense at this point. Don't you have to be scared away? Because this is not salvageable at this point, is it?
Yeah, you know me. I've been pretty strong with keeping the rankings of these guys as high as possible. But even a guy like me, after seeing what I saw the other night, man, this is starting to look like a Carson Palmer situation. It really is. And if you see something like that, and that's starting to look more like it, you have no other way to go but down with the players here in the offense with Aaron Rodgers himself, and then you got Davante Adams and Jones. You have to drop them a little bit because this situation, like you said, it's not looking salvageable. They're posting things like The Last Dance. It's pretty silly, but it's making it worse. It's making the whole situation worse. It's not making anyone feel better. It's not making anyone feel better. He's talking about, I mean, he didn't say it, but there were reports that he may possibly retire next week. This is bad to worse, and now even worse. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is ridiculous. If Davante Adams, if he wants to get at it, and they already ended their contract talks. I saw that early in the week. They broke off talks. He's not happy. Aaron Rodgers not happy. You're not happy as a Packers fan. Green Bay, I said last week that the Philadelphia Eagles organization is one of the worst in football. I'm not saying the Packers organization is one of the worst. I'm saying right now the Packers situation is one of the worst I've ever seen. This is really bad, man. An NFC title team 2 years in a row to a team that may lose a Hall of Fame quarterback, and the drama all around this situation's horrible, man. I don't know what to say anymore. I just don't know. And I think you'll have no other choice now but just assume that Rodgers won't be there and assume that it's gonna be Jordan Love or Blake Bortles or whoever gets the chance. So I don't know. It's tough.
Oh man, it was fantasy gold there. Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, they couldn't just, keep their big boy pants on and go play for $35 million and say, hey, this team is pretty darn good, right? Maybe it's not a super team, but it still is pretty good team, as Steven Jackson had to remind Giannis. And I don't usually agree with Steven Jackson, but I did agree with him on that. It's not like you're playing with a bunch of D-leaguers here. But no, you don't get to have the Pro Bowl team behind you every year. You've done pretty good, Aaron Rodgers, and you haven't made it. And yeah, maybe it is an organizational issue, but at this point, okay, you want to retire? I saw one other analyst, commentator, expert say, what does the answer have to be at this point? I say, you're playing for us or you're not playing for anyone else. Goodbye. You cannot let onto the team that anyone is bigger than the team. And it doesn't just open that up to the team. That opens it up to the whole NFL.
Yep.
I think that has to be the answer. And if somehow they mend fences over this, I'll just have to say, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. And comes out tomorrow. Oh yeah, they signed a 7-year deal. Everybody's happy. Then I guess I don't know anything at all. But
so I want to throw this one at you. I want to throw this one at you right now. This is has a lot. This player will be talked about a lot in the next couple of weeks. What is your opinion? Say you have Jordan Love on your roster right now.
All right.
Say you have Jordan Love on your roster and you're receiving some offers from him right now. Super flex, 1 QB, doesn't matter what format it is. Say you're receiving some offers right now. What do you think you would want for him right now? Let's just say 1 QB league. What would you want for him right now? Or do you think it'd be smarter to just wait a little bit, and if Rodgers does retire, because Green Bay is still a very good offense, and we can't just say Jordan Love is not going to be good. We don't know that.
We don't
know. But what do you wait for him to play a little bit first and, show that he's a pretty good player, or you just sell right away whatever you get for him? What do you think his current value is at this moment? This is Dynasty, so obviously everybody matters. So Jordan Love is going to be talked about a lot. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, he matters. Okay, well, I can't comment for Superflex, but I know enough about Superflex that, it's all about quarterbacks. You want to have as many quarterbacks as possible, so I'm assuming a guy like Jordan Love would be drawing a first in a Superflex league. But that's not anything I'm knowledgeable on. So we'll just talk non-Superflex league, PPR, non-PPR, dynasty format. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to find many people that will say give you a late first. I just don't think so. But would they trade you a future second? I bet you get a Packers fan that would do that. They would say, sure, what the heck, I think I would. Knowing myself, I would probably just want to strike while the iron's hot, get rid of him. But it all depends on what cycle your team is in. Do you have anything to gain or to lose by holding on to a guy like this to see what he becomes? All you're losing ultimately is second round value. That's it at that point. If that's all you think you can get, that's all you're losing by holding on to him and having him prove everyone right that he was awful. But I would say a second round would be fair because, I mean, what are you expecting someone to say? Oh, yes, I'd love to have a third round pick. Why? Why would you love to have a third round pick?
Exactly.
Nobody's going to get too excited about that. But at least a second round pick, I think, would be fair. And yeah, I mean, he's looking like he'd be the starting quarterback. And I don't think that value changes. Well, I guess it obviously does change if Aaron Rodgers does play. Then no, I don't want to give a second for Jordan Love this year. Maybe you trick them in the middle of the season. It's all about what have you done for me lately. Offer something for Jordan Love if Aaron Rodgers is playing in the middle of the year. and then get somebody then. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to have faith in Jordan Love. He was overdrafted. The times that we've got to see him play. No, he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Brett Favre. And as a Packer fan, that might be something we have to get used to. There were a lot of bad quarterbacks in Green Bay before Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. And not to say Jordan Love will be bad or not. Maybe he'll just be an average guy. He'll be a Jared Goff. And then we look at our squad and we say, okay, well, if we prove the defense, maybe we can make this work. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers' attitude. I'll tell you about a trade here to move on to our third piece of big fantasy news this week. This trade went down, I guess, as another expert was telling people to sell for 75 cents on the dollar. Get out while you can. The sky is falling. And they traded Michael Thomas for Kenny Golladay straight up. Yeah. That was a trade that went down. We're talking about Michael Thomas. People are panicking. That this injury he has is worse than where we've let on. It's Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. That's not making you feel good. I think he's 28 years old. That's not making you feel good. The whole situation in New Orleans got people a little rattled. And now you're telling me he's not just going to miss like a week. Sounds like he might miss a month or two of the season. What are you hearing on Michael Thomas?
What I just heard earlier today, I did hear that Michael Thomas is expected to miss 12 to 16 weeks from the surgery. He had his surgery in June. So 12 to 16 weeks from that surgery. Now the timeline we're looking at now is maybe mid-October, maybe end of October. So he's going to miss a pretty decent amount of the season. He's a candidate. I would say he's a strong candidate to be on the PUP list to start the season. And if that happens, that's automatically 6 weeks. 6 weeks right off the bat there. So I don't like the situation at all because last year when he suffered that injury, it seemed like he would be back. It seemed like he'd be back in a couple weeks. Then it became several weeks. Then it became, who knows, will he even be back at all? Then when he did come back, he was okay, but he wasn't Michael Thomas, not even close. At the end of the year, season ended, they revealed his injury was a lot worse. And what I want to know is what took so long to get the surgery. I mean, I don't understand what was it? Did he what was he hearing from his doctors? I know he didn't want the surgery, but seriously, if he gets the surgery in February or March, we're not even talking about this right now. He's gonna be ready for the season. Because if they're saying 12 to 16 weeks from June, the timeline would be a lot better if he got the surgery earlier. So I don't understand that. But yeah, right now as the number 32 overall player in Dynasty ADP, we're going to see that dropping. I would say when we get to the August ADP here in DLF, see him being in the 50s. I really can because I think people are getting fed up with it. His injury is not getting better. He didn't get the surgery earlier enough. This situation was not really great to begin with the new quarterback in here. The Michael Thomas situation is tough. And it's frustrating because a guy like Michael Thomas, in his career, if you look at this right now, the first 4 years of his career, every year he ascended. 92 catches, 104 catches, 125, 149. Just a phenomenal wide receiver. And then, unfortunately, the injuries have kicked in. The attitude kicked in. He punched one of his teammates in practice. I don't know what happened. Since that record-breaking year in 2019, it's been all downhill for Michael Thomas in New Orleans and in fantasy. And if you're an owner of Michael Thomas, if you can get Kenny Galladay for him, it may not be a bad thing. It's a shame. It is a shame, but I just don't know why the surgery didn't happen earlier. If it had to get done, why did it wait till June?
Yeah. And I mean, looking at this, okay, we're acknowledging what the reality is of the situation, but I wrote down here, should we have known this? Like, what didn't we see? I didn't feel this way about Michael Thomas 2 months ago.
No, not at all.
There was no negative press. You're reading the same stuff I'm reading. Where did it get tripped up? Or is this just how maybe just a reflection of how the news that comes out, it doesn't tell the full story.
Yeah. It's really mind-boggling because when we were doing our mock drafts and dynasty and redraft, we didn't really have much concern. We were drafting him without. If we knew that this was a concern going into the season, he wouldn't have been in the top 3 or 4 rounds of any drafts we've done. So it's just
he might not be ready for week 1. This is a serious injury. Without Drew Brees there, his career is toast. There was none of that talk.
None at all. None at all. Now, with the Saints situation, we should talk about the other side of this. So now with Michael Thomas on the shelf for possibly 2 months of the season, hopefully he'll be back before that. We don't know. But what does this do now? Obviously, Alvin Kamara. Obviously, we already know Kamara's uptick in usage will be what it was last year when Michael Thomas was out. So that's already a given. We know Kamara is going to be the focal point. Michael Thomas, I don't want to disrespect Michael Thomas in any way. He is an amazing receiver. But I think Alvin Kamara, clearly the best player on offense on that team, the most reliable player on offense on that team. But what about the ancillary pieces? What do we expect from Traquan Smith? I mean, what has he done? He's had his chance. He had his chance last year. I don't really know what to really expect from him. Every year it's Traquan Smith. This is the year. Traquan Smith. This is his year. He's looking good. He's catching balls in training camp. He's looking great. And then the season comes. Where is he at? I don't see him anymore. I see a bunch of players with Smith on the back, but it's not him. So I don't really know. I think this is going to be one of the worst offenses in football. I think I really have a strong belief now. I think Taysom Hill will start now because they need something different now. Because Jameis Winston threw 30 picks with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. How many interceptions is he going to throw with you and me playing receiver?
And Traquan Smith.
Traquan Smith as a wide receiver 3. I don't even know what to expect.
An uptick in usage, but I don't think he's not built like Derrick Henry. You can't just go, well, man, you're our only hope.
Yeah.
We're going to give you 300 carries this year, Kamara. No, he'll be out by week 12.
I agree.
So I wrote down here Kamara value with an arrow pointing down. It has to. Nobody's on top forever. Scoring 6 touchdowns in week 16 of the finals. It doesn't get much better than that. Pretty much everything after that is downhill. So, and he's not a young guy anymore. this situation, I mean, we can still assume running back one value, but I'm just saying the value is it has to go down. It
That's
has
it.
to. This is not a good
Yeah.
situation. Drew Brees is gone. They did not adequately fill the holes in this offense.
Yeah, and that's a good take. That's an interesting way to look at it. Like I said an uptick in usage, but he's never had more than 18 touches a game in his career. So we're not going to see him, like you said. He's not going to get a Derrick Henry workload. We may my opinion with him. Well, I think he will play like he did last year when Michael Thomas was out. He was used a lot in the red zone, and when you got a guy like Michael Thomas not in the lineup, that's just less options for the Saints to go to in the red zone. And Kamara is going to be used a lot more in the passing game. He's already been used a bunch. I think that's where you're going to see his uptick in the passing game even more than he has been before. But how about Adam Troutman? How about Troutman? I think who are the other targets in this offense? I think Troutman's got to be up there, man. I think we're already excited before Michael Thomas the Michael Thomas news. I think if you have Troutman right now, you should be excited.
That is a nice silver lining to this situation. Yeah, I mean, I like that though. If you're trying to look for a weak point to exploit, a guy that hasn't broken out, but he has a clear path to a role this year, and a whole bunch of cheap targets and an offense that might not be that great. It's his time to shine. Yeah, no, go get Adam Troutman. I love it. I love it. Well, hey, that wraps it up for this week. We had another awesome week to close out the month of July. I'll let you close out the show, and we'll catch up next week.
Yeah, man, another awesome show. And I've been saying in the weeks prior to this, the news is going to pick up, and it sure did. It sure did. I sent you a message yesterday saying we got a lot to talk about, man, and I think it's just going to keep on coming, and that's what's fun about this time of the year. A lot of teams, I think the rest of the teams are going to be reporting next week for training camp, and hey, we're going to be hearing a lot of news, training camp battles. It's exciting, but yeah, it's tough to see injuries. It's a shame to see these injuries happening already before the season start, but that's part of the game, and that's why you have to make sure you have that depth on your roster and make sure you're just doing your work, because that's the thing about dynasty football. If you're not doing your work and you're not prepared for these types of injuries, that will happen. They are going to happen. You have
if you're
to be ready
not picking up Xavier Jones, I don't think you're doing your job, because it's guys like that every year. If you're not doing it, somebody else is doing it, and eventually somebody is the next J-Rob. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes.
No, I totally agree. That's a perfect point. And look, those are the guys, like you said, J-Robs, Xavier Jones, guys like that. You have to take a chance on them. And with big rosters in Dynasty, what are you losing? You're not losing anything. It's only upside from there. And if it doesn't pan out, you just drop them. It's not anything that you should worry about, because all it is upside. And that's what we look for in Dynasty football and fantasy. Hey, I'm excited. I'm ready for football to start right now, man. I'm getting excited about this, and I think everyone else is excited. I'm looking forward to talking about some more football next week, and we're excited. And thank you all for listening, and take care. Have a great week.